U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio addressed European leaders with a vision of what he described as the path toward preserving and strengthening Western civilization. He framed the discussion around the need for nations to embrace sovereignty, cultural pride, and self-reliance, positioning these as the foundation for a renewed alliance capable of shaping the future. According to Rubio, President Trump seeks allies who do not merely follow the current of global trends, but instead act with deliberate purpose, driven by the pride of their unique cultures and the responsibility to safeguard their heritage. Rubio emphasized that the alliance he envisioned is not one paralyzed by fear of climate change, fear of conflict, fear of rapid technological change, but an alliance that confronts challenges with courage and ingenuity. He painted a picture of nations boldly racing into the future, not as passive participants in a changing world, but as architects of it, committed to leaving a stronger, prouder, and wealthier legacy for the generations to come. Rubio spoke at length about the moral imperative of leadership, asserting that true statesmanship requires more than diplomacy. It demands vision, decisiveness, and the willingness to uphold values even when they are unpopular or inconvenient. He underscored the importance of education, innovation, and economic independence as pillars of national strength, insisting that nations which invest in the development of their citizens create resilience that no external threat can dismantle. Throughout the address, Rubio drew connections between cultural heritage and strategic advantage, suggesting that nations confident in their identity are less susceptible to external pressures and better equipped to form alliances based on shared principles rather than transient convenience. He cited historical examples of civilizations that thrived when they honored their traditions while simultaneously embracing progress, arguing that Western civilization has the same potential today if it avoids self-doubt and hesitation. Rubio framed technological advancement not as a threat to be feared, but as a tool to be harnessed, a means to accelerate economic growth, improve security, and enhance the quality of life for all citizens. He also spoke candidly about global security, warning that alliances built on fear are brittle and reactive, while alliances rooted in strength, confidence, and mutual respect are enduring and effective. Economic sovereignty, he argued, is inseparable from cultural sovereignty, and nations must cultivate both in order to remain truly free and influential on the world stage. Rubio urged leaders to reject narratives of inevitable decline, emphasizing instead the human capacity for ingenuity, resilience, and moral courage. He presented a vision in which nations prioritize the welfare of future generations, creating societies that are not only prosperous but virtuous, societies that model the values they hope to see adopted by others. At multiple points, Rubio returned to the theme of pride, not in arrogance or exclusion, but in responsibility, the pride that motivates a nation to act boldly, to innovate, and to ensure that children inherit societies that are stronger, freer, and more capable than those of their parents. He cautioned against allowing fear to dictate policy or public perception, suggesting that succumbing to anxiety about climate, technology, or global conflict leads to stagnation, indecision, and ultimately decline. Instead, he called for proactive engagement, collaboration grounded in shared values, and the creation of institutions capable of responding swiftly and effectively to emerging challenges. Rubio also addressed the role of culture and heritage in uniting citizens around common goals, noting that nations confident in their identity are better able to weather internal divisions and external pressures alike. He described a framework for international cooperation that balances national sovereignty with collective security, innovation with tradition, and ambition with responsibility, arguing that this balance is essential for sustaining the West's leadership in global affairs. Throughout the speech, he repeatedly invoked the stakes of failure. Nations that abandon pride, foresight, or courage risk leaving future generations weaker, poorer, and unprepared. In closing, Rubio articulated a vision of a Western alliance defined not by passivity or fear, but by energy, creativity, and a shared commitment to excellence. He challenged leaders to embrace their histories, trust in their people, and act decisively, asserting that the only fear worthy of concern is the fear of failing to leave their nations prouder, stronger, and wealthier for their children. By the end of his address, the message was clear. The West can maintain its preeminence, but only if it pursues an agenda of courage, pride, and enduring strength, unafraid to confront challenges, and steadfast in its responsibility to future generations. Rubio's remarks were both a call to action and a blueprint for leadership, emphasizing that the renewal of civilization is neither automatic nor guaranteed, but the product of deliberate, inspired, and principled effort by nations willing to embrace their heritage, assert their sovereignty, and race boldly into the future.